So I recently just switched up my wheel size. So I basically went from a 52 millimeter classic Formula 4 to a 53 millimeter conical full. I know that doesn't seem like much of a size bump up from 1 millimeter difference, but really the big difference is the conical full. So basically, this is what the conical full looks like. I mean, you guys are aware what wheels look like. I don't have to tell you. But basically, I wanted to put this video together to kind of explain some of the differences that I've observed while skating on them. One of the first things that I noticed was timing of my pop. So because the wheel is slightly higher, it means that your tail is a little bit higher off the ground. It might not seem like 1 millimeter makes that much of a difference, but literally these little small measurements make such a difference in the way that your board responds to your feet. Because the tail is higher off the ground, or the nose is higher off the ground, it is a bit of delay in timing from when you hit the tail to like an ollie, for example, meaning it's going to take maybe a couple sessions for you to get used to that timing. The next thing I noticed was grip. So because it's a conical full, there's more surface area that is touching the ground, which means the control of the board or the feeling of the board under your feet is very different, in the sense that if you're going to do a power slide or you're going to turn around or carve or something, the ground under your feet is going to feel very different. The resistance is going to be greater. So you're going to have to put more force into your power slide in order to essentially make that less frictionless, if that makes sense. Key difference number 3 is speed. I found that putting on a bigger wheel allowed me to go a little bit quicker, or at least I felt like I had a little more momentum. That also could have been in part to do with the bearings being a little newer, but I honestly feel like the wheel, the rotation was just a little quicker. Another big difference is locking. So locking into grinds on ledges and on rails actually feels a lot better. Because the height from the truck to the top of the wheel here is a little greater and wider surface, it means that the lock-in point, there's more wheel being able to bite onto the ledge or the rail. That was actually like a quick thing to get used to, and I actually quite liked it, the way these lock onto a rail or a ledge. And especially coping on like a quarter pipe, I found that I'm able to find my axle stall, find my lock a lot easier, which is really nice. So one of the first things that I struggled with though was flip tricks. So scooping a tray flip just felt awkward. It took me probably a couple sessions to get used to it. I'm used to it now and I quite enjoy it, but that initial process of getting used to it was quite annoying. So basically what I'm trying to say is, when you're going to scoop your tray, because there's more friction, you're going to have to put more force into that scoop. So that's the biggest concern, really, is just getting used to that time and getting used to the power input that you're putting into your tricks. So if you are considering upsizing wheels, I really just recommend being patient with it, spending 2-3 sessions to get used to it, because ultimately you're going to be a little frustrated in the beginning. If you're like me, who is very kind of honed in or particular about the way the board feels under my feet, which is funny because I didn't always used to be that way growing up. I would just kind of skate whatever. But as I've gotten older and kind of tinkered around with a bunch of different setups, I'm starting to kind of figure out what I really like and what I don't like. And I've realized I'm starting to really like conical fulls, which is funny because I don't know if you guys remember, last year in December I was down in the States for a month and I brought these conical fulls with me, and I ended up putting classics back on when I got back home because I wasn't like a huge fan. So another thing that I've noticed putting these on after getting used to them was that my pop is actually a little higher, which is surprising. I thought that a heavier wheel would feel heavier under my feet, but it actually feels kind of snappier and poppier, and I feel like I can like pop up higher onto things. I like the way they feel. What else? A couple other things to take into consideration. Look down factor. Yeah, look down factor I found doesn't just exist for shoes. So when I say look down factor, it's like looking down at your shoes, your pants, the way it all lines up. For me, it's important that I look and feel good. So there is a look down factor when it comes to wheels as well. I find when I look down at my board setup, at first I was like, this feels not like my board. These feel like monster truck wheels, even though they're not that big compared to what most people are riding these days. People are riding 54 conical fulls, even 56. Oddly enough, I find skate footage looks best in conical fulls when I'm seeing street parts and people are like skating super big wheels. I find it just looks so sick. Carlisle Aikens, I don't know what size he rides, Catercilla, him as well. They just look like they're riding really big wheels and it just looks sick in footage. But for me, it always just kind of looked weird as a look down factor. I need to take a thumbnail. Also, wheel bite. So because the wheels are bigger, they're closer to the board. So if you don't land bolts, like I always do, you're going to get wheel bite. These are going to last longer. I mean, Spitfire wheels aren't cheap in Canada. I think they're like high 50s, maybe $60, which isn't cheap for a pair of wheels. So if you're going to get 52s, they're going to wear out a lot quicker than you would if you were to get 53 or 54 conical fulls. These wheels are going to last a lot longer, which is nice. I know there's a lot of other wheels out there, but I'm always just used to skating Spitfires, so I kind of just stick to what I know. But yeah, let me know your experience with upsizing wheels. I was just getting bored with my setup. If you saw my last video, it was titled "I'm bored with my setup," so I felt like switching it up and changing it around. And ultimately, I just felt like putting a different wheel on made me skate a little different, and it kind of just like unlocks different ideas, gets the creative juices flowing, and kind of turns that like stagnant kind of energy towards skating. But by stagnant, I mean like you kind of just get into like repetition and almost like complacence. When you're doing your tricks, you go to the skate park, you just do the same tricks over and over again. So sometimes switching something up in your setup can kind of bring out that creativity in you to go and try different tricks. So that's kind of where I was at. And yeah, I've already kind of learned a few new tricks with this board, so I'm excited to get out there and keep filming. I think I'm going to keep them on, keep skating them, because I'm enjoying them. And my previous 52s are probably like a 49 by now, so they're just like a little too small, and I'm just enjoying these. So that's it. Hope you guys are doing well, and we'll catch you in the next one. Peace.